This is my third year participating in the Fuller Center Bike Adventure. Previous 2 years, I've done segments from Boise, Idaho. I've done segments starting in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and going to Chicago, Illinois. And so last summer, that was, I guess, my year to do it all. I wanted to go all the way instead of just doing a week or two. I decided to take up a 10-week journey and traveling from Oceanside, California to Portland, Maine. Along with that, of course, comes different challenges in trying to, first of all, raise money because, the main purpose of this is to support the Fuller Center for Housing, to spread the word about what they do and what the organization is all about. And so I did have to raise, it was mandatory that each whole way rider, as we call it, raise $4,000. So I did end up, with generous support from people at school, friends and family. I was able to raise that amount of money and a little bit more. But that money, of course, goes towards the Fuller Center. So to raise the money was one challenge. To be physically ready for, a 3,000 mile, actually a 4,000 mile bike trip, that was another challenge.
That's actually riding a bicycle 4,000 miles.
4,000 miles, right. And then there's the challenge of, living kind of as a community with people I don't know. I have one friend of mine from Nashville who's also associated with the Fuller Center, and we ride here locally. He came in and he did 2 weeks with me, but the other 8 weeks I was kind of be on my own. You have to live with people. You have to be able to, you ride with them during the day, but then in the evenings we have, these generous host churches that take us in, and we sleep on the floor. We sleep on the church pews. We, eat the meals provided, to us by them. And again, they were very generous, and found ourselves overwhelmed with the generosity of just the people in the country. As you go across the country, and people are willing to take care of you. They're willing to take out of their lives and their time to help somebody who's helping others, and that was really inspiring for me. I got out to California, I guess June 3rd of last summer, and in Oceanside, California is kind of where we started. We went down to the ocean and we dipped our back tire into the ocean, saying that, hey, we're starting, from the back here, and we're going to go there at the Pacific Ocean, and we're going to go to the Atlantic Ocean. After dipping our tire into the ocean, we took off. We started pedaling, and each day we averaged around 80 miles. There were some days where it was only 40 or 50, but there were some days where it was 90 or 100 miles. So, the average ended up being 80 miles per day. We traveled across the state of California, got to go to Palm Springs, California, and see the vastness there, where right there in the middle of the desert, here's a town, here's a city, and it's a nice city as well. Got to go to the Grand Canyon. We did end up spending a couple nights in the Grand Canyon. Some of the people that were with me hiked down to the bottom and back. I found myself not wanting to do any hiking after you had just biked, 80 or 90 miles just for that day. Most of our weeks ended up being, 300 plus mile weeks on the bicycle. So the weekends that we had off, I was ready to sit down. We incorporate, of course, build days within there. One of our first build days was in Palm Springs. Our build day could consist of just doing yard work. It can consist of painting. It consists of, putting in fixtures for people, doing wheelchair ramps, in Palm Springs, we actually put a fence. We replaced a fence around a house. We went on, of course, to Colorado, in Colorado Springs, and I believe that you all had a video of that. That was one of the places where we helped with a respite house, where, if families in need of, I guess, a time away from their children, if they find themselves kind of at wit's end, they can go there at any time of the day or night and just kind of drop their children off. So they needed a safe, comfortable place for those children to be. When we got there, the backyard was in disrepair, and although they had a place for the children to play in the backyard, it really wasn't a safe place, and it definitely wasn't a clean place. So, just going in there, pulling up some weeds, taking the outdoor play equipment and repainting it, going inside and doing, again, light fixtures, painting, whatever we could do to, help these people to help, really it's just one house at a time. And that's what the Fuller Center mission is. It's about helping people have a safe place to live, just one house at a time. And that's kind of the core mission of what they do. Went from there, of course, all the way across Kansas, and Kansas is just like they say in the movies, kind of got caught in a tornado or two, and with the wind blowing, we pulled over and rested until the wind passed, and we got back on our bikes and we rode. We rode whether it was raining or sunny, as long as there was no lightning, we were pedaling our bikes. We got to Illinois. Peoria, Illinois was another one of the stops that was most memorable for me. Stopping in Peoria, we got to help a former Army veteran, Mr. Oscar, I can't remember his last name, but going to his house, I think the city was about to actually to condemn his house or his whole property because of the fact that the garage was falling apart. The roof was in disrepair, and they were just, it was just not a safe place, not only to park a car, but the inside of his house as well to live. The Fuller Center Covenant Partner, which is kind of like the local chapter there, the Covenant Partner in Fuller Center, or the Covenant Partner in Peoria, Illinois, they specialize in helping veterans. And so Oscar was one of the veterans that we helped that day, and just seeing the joy in his face when he, saw these 30 people in orange, get out of the vans and say, hey, we're here to help you. He was overwhelmed, and we were overwhelmed as well. I had never put on a roof before or seen, what goes into it, but, we learned how to do that. Of course, there are some skilled laborers there, but most of us are people who don't have many skills. We may know a few things here and there about home repair and about fixing up things, but we kind of learned as we did. So, to tear the whole roof off and to put a new one on, as we were tearing it off, here comes, possums out at the top of his roof. And so we had to deal with the possum and trying to, get him off the property. I think I spent most of that day at the wood chipper. So every branch that they cut down, I put it through the chipper, and we, made pieces out of it. And then we had to bag it up. And so I think that was my 8-hour day on a wood chipper, which, again, we do that so that we can help others. Continued, of course, across the country, through Illinois, through Indiana, stopped in Ohio. Stopping in Ohio, I got to actually see one of the families that we had helped the previous year. In Ohio, the community that we stopped in the previous year, I got to help this lady who's a babysitter, and ended up meeting her and, communicating with her, through social media and such, and let her know I was in town. And she invited me over and said, hey, she couldn't wait to see, to see me again, and for me to see her, to see how we had helped her by fixing up her house the year before, and made a lifelong friend. And so, the Fuller Center for Housing is just about helping people, about, providing the community with a safe place to live.
Anybody who might